Amazing discovery, veterans' truth exposed 3 minutes later, the Pentagon transformed everything. Tom Bradshaw sat hunched over a cluttered table in their small Ohio home, rain pounding against the windows. The worn leather of his journal whispered memories each time he turned a page. Once filled with the tales of valor and camaraderie, the pages now felt like the weight of his past pushing down on him. He flicked the pen in and out of its cap nervously, the ink-stained tip hovering above the paper. Today held a different energy, a pulse that was unfamiliar. An unsettling discovery had emerged from his own pages. The notes slid from his fingers, losses too raw to revisit. His breath quickened as he recalled the operation gone wrong, lives snuffed out, families torn apart. The memories danced in his mind like wraiths, their whispers echoing his guilt. He could feel the shadows creeping closer as if they were tangible, reminding him of the silent scars that took root long after the battles ended. Would he speak about it, or toss the truth away like just another forgotten sentiment? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. He rubbed his temples, a futile attempt to ease the strain building between the urgency to act and the fear whispering that revelation would unleash chaos in their lives. The comfort of the mundane, the slow days at the hardware store, felt like a refuge he'd fought hard to create. Yet now, it felt suspiciously like a cage. If he exposed the truth, would he shatter the thin veil of normalcy he'd strived to maintain? A glance toward his wife, Jane, brought both comfort and dread. She stood by the window, her silhouette framed by the dreary backdrop of the storm. Tom loved her fiercely, but the burden of his memories often left him isolated, drowning in the unshared pain of a life once marked by duty and violence. He was a soldier long after the uniform had been shed, and guilt clawed at him. Were his battles worth revealing? Could exposing the truth about his comrade's fate provide solace, or would it tear open wounds that were better left sealed? The phone rang, shrill with an urgency that sent a jolt through him. Tom's heart raced as he stared at the screen, a menacing unknown. An anonymous voice awaited on the other side, chilling him with a warning against exposing the truths buried by deception. The room felt too small, the walls pressing in with the enormity of it all. Tom stood suspended, caught between the decision to plunge into the darkness of accountability and the fear that it might engulf him and his family. Shadows loomed larger now, not only from his past but from the unknown forces eager to silence him. Would he sacrifice his family's safety for the truth, or would he fold under pressure, letting history swallow itself? With every heartbeat, the weight of his choices grew heavier. He gripped the phone tighter, his jaw clenched, fully aware that the next words he spoke would irrevocably alter the path they were on. Darkness danced at the corners of his mind, urging him forward, while fear begged him to retreat. Tom stood at the precipice of his fate, uncertainty swirling around him as he wrestled with the decision that could either free him or bury him even deeper in silence. Tom's hands shook as the anonymous voice droned on, every syllable layered with dark intent. He shifted uncomfortably, forcing himself to absorb the threat woven into the words of that faceless caller. "This is bigger than you think," it warned, sending a crackling jolt of anxiety down his spine. In that split second, the weight of his secrets felt less like an individual burden and more like an imminent storm, poised to break the fragile dam he had built around his life. He could almost hear the echo of his own thoughts. What if this was just intimidation? Yet the flicker of doubt threatened to spark a fire of panic. What if he were the only one standing against this hidden truth, banished to the sidelines while others manipulated the narrative for their gain? The thought of being a pawn in someone else's game ignited something within him, a determination begging to rise from the depths of his despair. He glanced once more at Jane, who was now pacing the room. She wore her concern like a thin veil, willing him to act but stranded in her own whirlpool of fears. He could see the lines of stress etched deeply into her forehead, a stark reminder of the life they had painstakingly curated together. He loved her too much to let darkness consume their shared space, yet felt torn at the core. The truth could obliterate their fragile calm, or it could anchor them in something far more profound, a reality undefinable and unyielding. As the call ended abruptly, leaving an unsettling silence in its wake, Tom felt thrust into an expansive void of possibility. His heart thrummed with a newfound rhythm. What if he told his story? What if he reached out to others who, too, had endured battles that lived outside of the public eye? Perhaps he could craft a narrative not of fear, but of relentless perseverance against the shadows that threatened to engulf him. He envisioned standing tall, reclaiming his narrative where all others adapted and manipulated it. He took a deep breath, the taste of resolve fueling his intentions. Pulling the journal closer, he opened to the pages that had become both sanctuary and prison. The bold letters etched in ink held significance beyond mere recordings of events. They outlined truths too vital to let decay into mere memories. Each ink stroke could breathe life into his comrades' stories, narrating their sacrifices and victories in the light they deserved. Scribbling fervently, transcending the boundaries of his hesitation, Tom's mind raced. He began to realize something: however heavy the consequences might be, he had discovered his voice again, not just for himself, but for the stories trapped in the silence of so many. He was a veteran not only of war, but of his own battle for clarity, of grappling with painful truths so they could be placed firmly in the light. The foundations of his fear now shifted, teetering on the impending edge of empowerment. Every word written, he felt encased in possibility. He needed to gather his thoughts, compile the experiences of his life before the shadows could gather strength and smother them once more. It was a risk he had to take, a leap into the unknown, armed with courage and clarity. "I will do this," he resolved quietly to himself. "I have to." Yet, even as his purpose crystallized, a feeling of foreboding descended. What would happen when the personal collided with the political? Would the forces conspiring to shroud him in silence grow more threatening? As he closed the journal, Tom recognized that the time had come to face his demons head-on, not just from his past but from the machinations that sought to undermine his truth. He picked up his phone again with a newfound sense of urgency. Not to retreat into silence, but to reach out, to connect, to unveil. As he prepared to dial a number that could change everything, the ring echoed through the room, this time from a familiar voice, someone he hadn't expected to hear. The moment of truth loomed precariously ahead. Who was it now, and what would it mean for the journey he had just embarked on? Tom's pulse raced as he caught sight of Jane's furrowed brow. The juxtaposition of her worry against the weighty urgency of the call set the atmosphere thick with tension. He inhaled sharply, the phone still pressed against his ear. The familiar voice spoke softly yet wielded power in its tone, tinged with urgency. It was Brad, a fellow service member, someone with ties to the experiences Tom was contemplating exposing. "Tom, I know you've been through a lot, but you've got to tread carefully. The things we discussed last year, they're just coming to light. I'm afraid they'll come for you if they sense you're weaving a narrative." Each word sharpened Tom's resolve but also stirred a fear he couldn't ignore. "Brad, I need to speak out." The words felt heavy, yet liberating. "It's bigger than me. It means preserving what we went through, and showing others they're not alone." There was a sigh on the other end, followed by silence that felt oppressive. I get it, Tom. But you need allies. You can't do this alone." Tom's thoughts flickered back to the pages of the journal, filled with grit and raw emotion, his own small rebellion against silence. "I have to begin somewhere, don't I?" "Maybe," Brad's voice wavered. "But be wary. There are people who don't want the truth out. They have the resources to bury us, and they will if they feel threatened." "I'll be careful," Tom reassured him, even if he felt himself waver at the thought of potential repercussions. This was the moment he had longed for, a chance to reclaim the narrative of his life and experiences, visions once dulled by convention. As he hung up the phone, Tom felt a swell of determination mixed with doubt. Could he truly face the ramifications of exposing the truth? The words in his journal pulsed in his mind. They sought an exit, a voice, a platform from which to rise above the impending shadows. "You need to find a way to speak, Tom," Jane said softly, easing into the chair opposite him. The tenderness of her eyes reflected not just concern, but understanding. "If this consumes you, it will devour us too." He nodded, swallowing hard. "I need to assemble a team. I can't walk this road alone." Jane's expression shifted. "Starting with Brad?" Tom thought for a moment. "Yes. But more than that. We need a range of voices, other veterans, advocates, anyone who has felt this pressure. The impact will multiply if we band together." She reached out, placing her hand on his. "This could lead to a lot of danger, Tom. What if they retaliate?" He pulled back slightly to gauge her sincerity. "I'm aware of the risks." "Are you really?" She pressed, reflecting concern. In that moment, the stakes crystallized in his mind. It wasn't just about sharing his story, but battling the complacency that threatened to erase the realities faced by countless others. Their pain, their truth against an oppressive silence, it hung heavy in the air. "I will do this. For us, for the others." Another surge of motivation surged through him. It wasn't enough simply to write anymore. He needed to engage, to confront the very systems that had alienated them. As they discussed potential allies, Tom scribbled notes in his journal, filling the pages with names and strategies. The ink transformed his uncertainties into a mosaic of tangible action, a plan unfolding in bold strokes. But even as his hopes expanded, another thought gnawed at the edges of his resolve. Was there a threat lurking in the shadows, ready to derail their efforts? What kind of backlash awaited a man willing to unravel years of carefully spun narratives? As the discussion pushed on, Tom couldn't shake the sensation that they were teetering on the brink of something monumental. Little did he know, the challenges ahead weren't simply external. They would force him to confront the very core of his beliefs and purpose in ways he could scarcely anticipate. And then, just as they were preparing to finalize their immediate steps, a sharp knock against the door echoed through the room, a stark intrusion into his blossoming plans. As Jane turned to answer it, a gripping wave of dread washed over him. What awaited behind that door could either reaffirm his mission or shatter everything he hoped to build. The door creaked open slowly, like the plot of a suspenseful thriller, and Tom's heart seemed to stumble in its rhythm. Jane's expression shifted from curiosity to guarded concern as she squared her shoulders against the slight frame of the visitor. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice steady, but Tom sensed the tension pulsing beneath it. "Is this the home of Tom Caldwell?" A deep voice resonated through the threshold, cutting across the intimate space they had carved out for discussions of bravery and truth. The man's demeanor was calm, yet there was an undeniable weight behind his inquiry, a formality that felt foreboding. Tom rose instinctively, instinct battling anxiety, a reflex born from years of training. There was a tenderness in Jane's gaze as she stepped back, allowing Tom to take the lead. But as he moved closer, an icy wave of uncertainty washed over him. What did this man want? "Yes, that's me," Tom replied, meeting the stranger's gaze with a boldness he didn't quite feel. "I'm Agent Harris, with the Department of Defense." The name landed heavily between them, the agency's reputation draping a shadow across the room. "We need to talk about your intentions concerning public disclosure." For a heartbeat, Tom felt the ground shift beneath him, the sensitivity of his mission surged to the forefront of his mind. This wasn't just about sharing his truth, this was about containment, about potential consequences spiraling into something he had not anticipated. Recognizing that fear had to be met with clarity, he swallowed hard and steadied his voice. "I haven't finalized any intentions yet. I'm still in the process of organizing my thoughts and gathering support." Agent Harris surveyed the room, his gaze jumping from Tom to Jane and back again, weighing their expressions as if measuring the pulse of their rebellion. Your intentions will be scrutinized at the highest levels. Scrutinized? Tom echoed, a tangle of anger and confusion writhing within him. Isn't it my right to speak my truth? We were made to carry these burdens, and you think that silencing us again is the answer? It's more complicated than that, Harris replied, though his voice held a hint of weariness. What you call truth is a narrative woven into something much larger. You could unintentionally ignite a fire that you can't control. Tom felt the flicker of defiance rise within him, an encouragement to confront not just the agent but the very system he was trying to dismantle. And what of the veterans who died with these stories? What about their truths? Harris shifted, almost uncomfortably, and Tom saw the weight of secret strain against the man's stoic exterior. This was part of the game, Tom realized. Dismantling the fear that came with wearing the mantle of truth would only grow more complex from here. Perhaps it is time we all ask ourselves what kind of fire we are willing to risk igniting, Tom pressed, feeling conviction igniting within him, transforming fear into a weapon. I want to be silenced, and I want to let others suffer in silence either. There was a moment of silence where only the echo of Tom's heart filled the air, a shared realization hovering unspoken between them. Behind the closed door lay a crossroads of choice, danger stalking every corner as Tom stood on the edge of a precipice. But as the door closed and the reality of their engagement settled in, Tom felt the gravity of his decisions weigh upon him with greater intensity. Was he prepared for this level of confrontation? Would the truths he sought to share come at a price too high to pay? The dialogue with the agent had shifted the landscape. Doubt began seeping into the corners of his resolve. But it wasn't fear that dominated his thoughts, it was clarity. His purpose remained, unshaken yet more defined. And as Tom resumed his seat across from Jane, she searched his eyes for answers, asking without words if he were ready for the inevitable storm. Tom, she said, breaking the tension, this is just the beginning, isn't it? More than I bargained for, but yes, he whispered, a chilling thrill coursing through him. What they don't realize is with the right allies, we're unstoppable. With that realization simmering in their veins, they needed to formulate a new path forward, one that would confront both the truths and the shadows. And with the looming presence of Agent Harris swirling in their minds, they knew it was just the tip of the iceberg. The time had come to make connections and strategize before the forces that demanded silence would act against them. Outside, the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the room as they prepared for what would come next. Would their mission be met with resistance, or would it spark a movement that would shed light on the hidden struggles of many? Tom felt a surge of adrenaline course through him as the stakes began to unfold. The horizon was about to burst into flames. And uncertainty loomed larger than ever before. Just then, a sudden flash of an incoming email caught his attention, a name attached that he hadn't expected to see again, prompting a mixture of dread and hope. Would this connection serve to strengthen their resolve, or further complicate their already tangled web of intentions? Tom leaned back in his chair, a mix of anticipation and dread knotting his stomach as he clicked open the email. The sender's name felt like a specter from the past, Mia Harmon, a former colleague from his days in service. The weight of their shared experiences, heartbreaks, and unnoticed sacrifices hung in the air as his mind raced to recall their last conversation. Had it involved promises of staying connected? Perhaps a loose end he had allowed to slip away into the shadows? He scanned the message, the brief subject line promising urgent content that could pivot the course of everything. I need to talk, urgent matter concerning veterans, it read, tapping into an unspoken bond forged through shared conflict. The implications beat like a drum in his mind. This wasn't just a reunion, it was an invitation to confront the very truths he had vowed to unveil. Tom? Jane's voice sliced through his thoughts, and he realized he'd been staring at the screen for too long. What is it? This could be significant, he murmured, his voice taut with tension. Mia, she has information that might align with what we're trying to do. Is she trustworthy? Jane's inquiry snapped him back to the present, forcing him to weigh the delicate nature of alliances. His heart sank into a deeper uncertainty after everything. Could he still trust anyone? "I believe so," he replied, though doubt threaded through his conviction. "But we've both seen how quickly trust can turn into a liability." Jane nodded, her eyes narrowing in thought. "Then we need to approach this carefully. We can't afford any missteps." Suddenly, the tension in the room thickened, mirroring his own inner turmoil. Each choice felt monumental, echoing the weight of responsibility that rested on his shoulders. Yet beneath the storm, he felt the stirring of something he had buried deep, a sense of purpose, an unyielding commitment to ensuring the voices of the voiceless finally had their stage. "He needs to be on our side," Jane continued, her tone firm. "Perhaps you should ask her to meet?" Tom leaned forward, tension coiling tighter within him. He was acutely aware that revealing their intentions to Mia could ignite a reaction either way. "If I meet her, I need to be candid," he said. "If she hesitates or falters, it could break everything we've built." "Then it's up to you to keep the conversation anchored in trust," Jane replied, her focus steely. "Remind her why these truths matter." As Tom composed a reply, he weighed his words carefully, knowing that this interaction could be the key that either unlocked vital alliances or shuttered them tight. He pressed send, his pulse quickening with every second that ticked by, anticipating Mia's response. After a tense moment, a reply came quickly. "Tomorrow at noon. My office. Bring Jane." The moment felt charged with raw energy as Jane's eyes lit up. "That's a good sign," she said, though the apprehension in her voice underscored the uncertainty coiling between them. "If she's willing to meet, there's hope." Tom could feel a thundercloud of pressure looming overhead. The prospect of renewed connections brought a sharp relief but was tinged with the taste of potential betrayal. He straightened his spine, lifting the weight of hesitation. "You know," he said, allowing conviction to weave through his words, "we're not just reaching for allies. We're aiming to expose something much larger." The fire of determination stoked within him, yet the looming shadows of fear threatened to extinguish it. As they maneuvered through the intricacies of this newly forming strategy, he realized every decision they made would become a building block leading to a crescendo of confrontation. And in that moment of clarity, an unexpected revelation began to unfurl within him. The truths he had spent so long carrying didn't just belong to the past, they were now a part of his identity, flowing into the current of who he was becoming. "Once tomorrow arrives, there's no turning back," he said quietly. "Then let us prepare ourselves for the storm to come," Jane replied, mirroring the determination in his heart. As they dove into strategizing, analyzing approaches, and anticipating responses, Tom felt a potent mix of fear and excitement pulse through him. The weight of their mission understood, they had ignited a flame that could either light the path ahead or set ablaze the very foundations they sought to change. And as the clock ticked down to an uncertain tomorrow, a question loomed large. What truths would unravel before them, and how would they respond when the time came to face the abyss that awaited? As dusk settled over the city, Tom's mind whirred with possibilities. He was acutely aware of the weight of the upcoming meeting, each scenario spinning like a top in his head. Would Mia bring the clarity they needed, or would she be just another echo of disappointment? The stakes felt higher than ever. This wasn't just about gathering allies, it was about dismantling a system that had silently overlooked the very people they were trying to advocate for. Sitting at the kitchen table, he sifted through papers stacked high around him, each representing a part of their extensive research on veteran affairs. Jane entered, arms laden with coffees and pastries, offering a small moment of calm. As she set everything down, she examined Tom's furrowed brow with concern. "You need to clear your head, Tom. We can't control what is coming, but we can control how prepared we are." Right. He realized she was right. The anticipation had consumed him, twisting thoughts into negativity where hope should lie. He took a deep breath, allowing the aroma of fresh coffee to soothe his nerves. This was a moment of potential, and he needed to approach it with clarity, not chaos. Over the next hour, they discuss strategies and potential pitfalls. Jane's insights into Mia's past made him reassess his own biases. She's not an enemy. We may have both changed since we last spoke, but we have to remember what was at stake back then, she reminded him. Tom nodded, reflecting on the camaraderie they once shared amidst chaos. The trust built during shared experiences had provided them a foundation, perhaps it could do so again. It's not just about what we want to expose. It's about what we want to reclaim for those who fought for it, he asserted. As the hour grew late, he mulled over the unyielding pressure he felt. Would he be able to communicate those sentiments as clearly to Mia? Each question danced in his mind, turning the anticipation into anxiety. He scribbled notes, not just about points he wanted to address but about deeper connections he hoped to rekindle. If the conversation leaned towards accountability, it needed to touch on shared commitments first. The next morning dawned with heavy clouds, reflecting the tempest of emotions swirling inside Tom. He dressed carefully, the act grounding him slightly. Each item of clothing he donned felt like armor, his old fatigues, now a tailored shirt devoid of the same insignia, yet somehow still a part of him. The transition from service to civilian life had been challenging, a battle in its own right, but today could signify a new kind of fight, one for truth. Are you ready? Jane's voice drew him from his thoughts as they reached the door. Her expression was a blend of concern and determination, mirroring his. Ready as I'll ever be. But as they made their way to Mia's office, doubt licked at the edges of his resolve. What if they miscalculated the risks? What if Mia was the wrong person for this pivotal role? Would his confrontation with old alliances lead to clarity or chaos? Each passing block heightened his uncertainty, but part of him thrummed with excitement. He could feel the weight of his purpose driving him forward. The desire to be heard, to advocate for those silenced, was becoming more than just a promise to himself, it was a commitment to a community that had long been neglected. Arriving outside Mia's office, he inhaled deeply, the moment unfolding before him like the calm before a storm. Could confronting his past yield the answers he sought? As he raised his hand to knock, every heartbeat felt tied to an unspoken resolution. The door swung open, and, as Mia stepped into view, her expression was unreadable. The air shifted ominously between them. Tom felt the tension deepen. One misstep could unravel everything. What truths would surface here, and could he trust himself to respond with the right resolve? Let us talk, he said, forcing steadying confidence into his voice. The moment encapsulated everything he had been building toward. And he knew, deep down, that the very foundations of his resolve were about to be tested. Mia stepped back, gesturing for him to enter, and Tom's pulse quickened. The office smelled faintly of cedar and coffee, a stark contrast to the weight that hung between them. He hesitated, processing the shift in dynamics since their last conversation. They had once fought side by side, but now everything felt like a game with high stakes and uncertainty. Tom, she began, breaking the silence that had settled between them. It's been a while. Yes, it has. He answered, managing a small nod of acknowledgement. He hadn't prepared for the nostalgia that cut through his nerves, complicating his objective. Each click of the door closing behind him reverberated like a countdown. They settled into chairs across from each other, their mutual facade of calm concealing a backdrop of unspoken tensions. Tom took a moment to adjust to the space, walls adorned with awards and photographs of past collaborations, moments frozen in time that seemed to mock the current discord. Transitioning took practice, and despite the familiarity, he felt like a stranger in a land that had once felt like home. How's the research coming along? She leaned forward, curiosity emerging as a thin veil over her previous distance. It's challenging, he replied carefully, weighing his words. But it's necessary. We can't let the narratives be controlled by those who never fought for them. Mia's brow furrowed, and he noted the flicker of recognition in her eyes. What do you mean? Is that the approach you want to take? Tom felt his heartbeat quicken. This is what he had come for: the confrontation of ideas, the necessity to reclaim their shared mission. I think it's vital that we shed light on the realities many veterans face. It's more than statistics, it's about real lives. If we have each other as support, Tom, provide me clarity on what you're suggesting. The intensity of her gaze intensified as she leaned back, waiting for him to fully articulate his vision. Grappling with years of shared experiences nearly halted his thoughts. Were they still aligned, or had the distance and time irrevocably altered her perspective? I want to work together to create something powerful, something that ensures no voice is left unheard. We both knew the stakes yesterday, let's not overlook them today. Her features softened slightly, but Tom was unrelenting. You left this field, and I moved on from my past. But we can still champion for the ones still suffering. We owe it to them. In that moment, a dynamic shift unfolded. Mia studied him carefully, and he braced himself for her response. What do you suggest then? She finally asked, her demeanor shifting, hinting at the old rapport they had shared. Let us approach the Pentagon, get their attention on matters we've uncovered. Demand accountability and transparency. His heart raced. This was a bold move, but one he felt anchored in purpose. Mia's expression turned contemplative, and he pressed on. They need to know that our silence is complicity. Yet the light in her eyes diminished slightly as caution settled in. That's a dangerous road, Tom. If we push too hard, it could backfire. He nodded, aware of the reality they were up against, but fear hadn't dictated his life before, and it wouldn't now. That's the choice we make, isn't it? To advocate even when it's risky. They exchanged silence, a calculus of trust and intent, both weighing the value of the potential collaboration versus the threat it posed. It dawned on him then that they might be more aligned than he had anticipated, but the specter of past disagreement still loomed large. Mia sighed, searching for words. If I join you on this journey, you have to promise me one thing: complete transparency, no matter how hard it gets. Tom's resolve strengthened, and he grasped the truth of their alliance. Of course. If we're going to do this, I won't hide anything. With the sudden realization that they had crossed a threshold, both felt the weight of their commitments. Yet uncertainty still crackled in the air. Could they revisit the trust that had once been their strongest weapon? Mia leaned back, contemplating. Fine, let us do it. I'll connect with my contacts. But before she could conclude, the door swung open, and a colleague unexpectedly stepped in, cutting through their tenuous moment. Sorry to interrupt, but the Pentagon just got wind of the research. They want to speak with you both now. Just like that, everything changed. Tom felt the adrenaline surge. The initiative they had just sparked was about to be thrust into a reality neither had anticipated. Are you ready? Mia asked, her earlier apprehension dissipating as determination ignited in her eyes. As they both stood, a mix of excitement and fear raced through Tom. He was about to step deeper into unknown territory, one that would test every resolve he had just reinforced. What would this encounter reveal? Would they hold firm, or would the system's might once again attempt to silence them? With a breath, they squared their shoulders and moved forward. The time had come to face everything they had ever fought against. Adrenaline coursed through Tom as he and Mia stepped out of her office, bracing themselves for a confrontation that felt predetermined yet daunting. He could feel the ground shifting beneath them, a sense of urgency that propelled him forward, but also fingers of doubt burrowing into his thoughts. They strode toward the conference room, each step echoing the stakes of their mission. Inside, the atmosphere was charged with tension. Pentagon representatives lined the long table, stern faces reflecting their positions. Tom couldn't help but notice the discrepancies between their neatly pressed uniforms and the reality of the lives they were about to dissect. Had the sharp creases in their clothing come at the expense of an understanding of true sacrifice? Please, have a seat, one of the officials gestured, the invitation conveying a hollow politeness. Tom exchanged a glance with Mia, their commitment blossoming silently in the supportive nods. There was no turning back now. Once seated, an official introduced himself, but the words felt distant and abstract. Tom found his focus narrowing on the agenda dominating the table, a barrage of data analytics and charts, but he knew what lay beneath the surface mattered more. There was a narrative to convey, a human reality he'd spent months uncovering. "Mr. Jones," the official said, tilting his head with a feigned interest. "We've reviewed your research. Numbers tell one side of the story, but we need actionable solutions. What do you propose?" Actionable solutions? The phrase echoed mockingly in Tom's mind. How could they reduce the lived experience of veterans to mere solutions without first fueling the fire of understanding? "Without voices, there are no solutions," Tom interjected, his voice rising in conviction. "Stories are what will ignite change. The question isn't what can we do, it's how can we prioritize the lives behind these numbers." The room tightened, eyes flickering between him and Mia. It was a moment of vulnerability, and yet as he stole a glance in Mia's direction, he saw only determination. She was ready for this fight. Mia seized the moment with a calculated brilliance, her tone even and authoritative. "If we stand by data alone, we're not acknowledging the chaos that afflicts our veterans. The human cost is what we must confront. Our joint efforts can highlight how this chaos correlates to the gaps in accountability within your systems." The Pentagon representatives exchanged cautious glances, their intrigue juxtaposed against the weight of Tom's statement. It was a pulsating moment that hung in the air, laden with potential upheaval. But before they could respond, an unexpected voice broke through the tension. "Is this an emotional plea or a strategy for change?" A pointed question from a younger officer who seemed overzealous in his skepticism, garnished with a hint of condescension. Emotions swelled within Tom. Here was a desperate attempt to confine their narrative within a binary of emotional appeal versus logical strategy. "It is a strategy that demands a deeper understanding," he challenged, "because emotions are rooted in experience. If you want real change, you need to embrace both." The room nearly crackled with the collision of ideals. Tom's heart raced not only from the confrontation but from the realization of his own evolution. In the past, uncertainty would have made him withdraw from this challenge. Today, he felt fortified, ready to face this confrontation with unwavering resolve. His own convictions had become a weapon tempered by the very stories he wished to bring to light. The officials deliberated quietly, and he seized the moment to deepen the narrative. "Let us talk stories. Each statistic is a name, a soul. We need to prioritize listening before we act." He could sense every pulse around the table, some receptive yet others resistant. Mia leaned in, her passion shining through. "We want to create an initiative that not only amplifies these voices but also integrates them into your strategic narrative. This is how we make the system listen. I propose a task force." One of the senior officials finally spoke, his voice carrying authority as he momentarily broke from his earlier demeanor, but apprehension still marred his tone. "But we call the shots. How do I know you won't just use this as a pulpit for condemnation?" Tom felt a flash of anger yet maintained his composure. This was a glimpse of the dance of negotiation. "Trust is what we're asking from you, and transparency is what we offer in return. If we're going to do this, it must be built on mutual accountability." As he spoke those words, he realized this was more than just a conversation. This was a pivotal moment in his professional life, a statement that took flight as a declaration of intent. Would they accept his terms, or would this encounter lead to another layer of obfuscation? The mood changed slightly, yet uncertainty clung to the air. He could feel the opposition from some quarters solidifying, but Mia's eyes conveyed a message: they were still in this together, two warriors bent on reclaiming their power. As silence enveloped the room, Tom sensed the thick veil of history pressing against them. Would their united front dissipate under the weight of the past, or would it forge a new future? "Let us take a break," the officer finally stated, and as they stood, Tom held his ground. This was a battle still in progress. The outcome hung in the balance. He was poised on the brink of something greater, something that could redefine their narrative. But what he didn't realize was that the forthcoming discussions would challenge not only his tenacity but the very foundation of his beliefs. As they stepped out of the room, Mia turned to him, determination mingling with uncertainty. "What's next, Tom?" His pulse quickened at the question. The fight was only beginning, and the potential for growth profound. "I need to confront what we're truly willing to sacrifice for voices that crave to be heard." The stakes had never been higher, and the true test of their resolve loomed ahead. Tom's mind whirled as he stepped into the sterile corridor illuminated by harsh fluorescent lights. Each fluorescent buzz hammered against him, underlining the gravity of the moments that had just passed. Beneath his skin, adrenaline still sparked, igniting a volatile mixture of hope and anxiety. Mia walked beside him, her resolve evident, but he could see the flicker of doubt in her eyes. "Did we do enough?" she asked, an urgency in her voice fading into a breathless whisper. Tom shook his head, anxiety creeping into his veins. "I wish I knew." Their earlier confidence faced an onslaught of uncertainty. Had they proven their worth in that room, or had they paved the way for yet another futile discussion? He felt the weight of responsibility pressing down harder than the polished furniture in the conference room. "Let us not underestimate our impact," Mia pressed, grounding him. "If they're considering a task force, that's a win. We can shape it." I want them to understand the stakes," Tom replied, frustration welling up in him. His thoughts flickered to the veterans he'd met and the stories he'd learned. Each one felt like a call to arms, pushing him closer to an insatiable resolve. A resolve he needed in moments of self-doubt like this one. As they settled into the quiet solitude of a small conference room adjacent to the main hall, Tom turned inward. He had come a long way from the uncertain academic who once only wrote about veteran struggles from a distance. He had committed himself to crossing into their reality and connecting the dots in ways that elicited true change. But had he really prepared himself for the challenges ahead? The chaos and complexities of negotiating with the Pentagon weighed heavily on him. Mia rifled through her notes, reviewing the data points they had presented. "We need to build a clearer strategy for the next discussion," she suggested. "Emphasize the bridge between data and stories. Remember, numbers tell a tale, but narratives breathe life into them." Tom found himself mesmerized by her focus. There was a clarity in her approach that seemed infectious. "You're right. We need to hone in on those emotional triggers. They might not see the faces behind the statistics, but we can make them feel it," he mused, excitement lighting up his features. The next challenge flashed before him: crafted communication that wedged between raw data and stirring narrative. He envisioned the stories of individuals, how resilience had often become a mask for their suffering. Names, lives, and experiences, the fabric of a truth that begged to be acknowledged. As they studied the documents, Tom felt an unexpected surge of confidence. They were no longer mere researchers hoping to influence change, they had evolved into advocates determined to dismantle the barriers of indifference. He finally acknowledged that this was not only about delivering facts, it was about igniting a fire for a mission that demanded empathy as a precursor for genuine action. "Let us put together a compelling narrative that juxtaposes some statistics with personal stories," he said, his eyes brightening with renewed purpose. "If we can create a resonant message, something that feels irrefutable, something that forces them to confront their biases, then maybe we can create tangible change." Mia nodded, her enthusiasm mirroring his own. "We need to center our experiences around one powerful veteran's story. Pinpoint resilience and struggle, and wrap our proposal around that." The clock ticked ominously, each second an invitation to plunge into this next daunting phase. Just as Tom felt ready to flesh out their ideas, the door swung open. A large figure entered, a senior Pentagon official he hadn't met before. With an air of authority, she scanned the room, her eyes eventually locking onto them. "Mr. Jones," she began, her tone measured yet tinged with unspoken scrutiny, "I believe it's time to revisit how we communicate these messages. You have my attention, but you'll need to prove their essay benefit in listening to those stories. Tom felt a chill race down his spine. Every ounce of grounding he'd found moments ago began to fray. Here was the challenge that would define them. He could sense the critical juncture they were at. Are you willing to listen? He managed to ask, feeling the delicate balance of their momentum trickle into uncertainty. The official arched an eyebrow, her acknowledgement a dare, her answer hanging like a sword over their heads. In that moment, Tom realized the road ahead was riddled with unpredictable turns. As the stakes escalated, he would have to grapple with the demand of vulnerability, not just for the veterans but for himself. No more hiding behind numbers, he thought. It's about taking one brave step out into the open. And just as he wrestled with this realization, Mia's eyes caught his, murmuring volumes of unspoken determination. We're in this together. Little did they know, the very foundation of their convictions would soon quake under scrutiny. Tom just didn't know how ready he was to confront those tremors. In the daytime stillness of Ohio, an undeniable sense of transformation filled Tom Bradshaw as he stood at the door of his home. The shadows of uncertainty that once loomed large over his life now felt but a distant memory. He had waded through a storm of self-doubt, propelled by the urgency to speak for those who had shared their sacrifices. The meeting with Mia had ignited a fire within him, a relentless drive to reclaim not just his narrative, but to champion the voices of countless veterans silenced by the weight of bureaucracy. The memory of the Pentagon meeting played in his mind, the charged atmosphere, a battleground he had navigated with unexpected poise. No more hiding behind numbers, Tom had resolved during that pivotal discussion. The realization crystallized in him: it was no longer about the protection of his narrative, it was about the entire untold story of his comrades. In the following days, they crafted their strategy, intertwining personal anecdotes with data that underlined the lived experiences of those he sought to represent. The task force was taking shape, fueled by passion rather than apprehension. Returning home after a long day of outreach and advocacy, Tom found solace in Jane's presence. She had become his pillar, her unwavering support a grounding force amidst the cacophony of chaos that accompanied their mission. How did it go today? She smiled, warmth radiating from her as she leaned against the kitchen counter. Better than I imagined, he said, his eyes sparkling with conviction. We've set a foundation, Jane, actual steps to bring change. But it doesn't stop here. Jane's brows furrowed slightly, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her face. What do you mean? I know the shadows are still out there, lurking, but I'm not retreating. I've committed to ensure these stories are recognized, a fusion of emotion and reality that can't be ignored. As he conveyed his thoughts, something within him shifted. Tom felt the uncertainty that had once threatened to paralyze him now transforming into a profound sense of purpose. He had wrestled with fear, unsure if he could bear the consequences of such exposure, yet he had come to understand that the price of silence was far greater. The days rolled by as he plunged into the numerical labyrinth of data, examining reports, creating actionable proposals, and collaborating with allies at the Pentagon. Each document felt like a stepping stone toward a destiny reborn. Tom now understood that the pursuit of truth wasn't merely an avalanche of facts, it was a chain reaction ignited by voices yearning for recognition. Then, one fateful afternoon, the call arrived, the moment he had both anticipated and feared. The Pentagon had reviewed their findings and wished to host a public unveiling of the task force initiative. This was his opportunity to shift the narrative, to reveal the human stories woven into the stark landscape of statistics, and echo the sentiments of his fallen comrades. Tom, this is monumental. Jane exclaimed, her joy echoing through the halls of their home, filling the air with the scent of newfound hope. Yet daunting, he replied, the weight of the task laid before him. This is the moment we've aimed for. Our collective experiences are about to be unveiled to not just policymakers but the public. It's daunting. In the quiet of that moment, he realized the true essence of his journey. Tom was no longer the myriad of doubts that had burdened him, he was a bastion of hope for those who had once felt they had no voice. With Jane beside him, their visions intertwined like the threads of a tapestry, every word exchanged reinforcing a bond strengthened through struggle. As the event approached, the rhythm of anticipation coursed through Tom's veins. The stage was not simply a platform, it was a declaration of their shared stories, the trials, hearts, and battles endured that demanded recognition. The day finally arrived. The auditorium buzzed with energy, filled with veterans, families, advocates, and even military officials who had questioned his commitment in the past. Yet now, he felt fortified, his path illuminated by the stories he had spent so long carrying. With each word he spoke, he felt the reputation he had built through courage solidify into unwavering confidence. The narratives poured forth, painting a vivid picture of resilience that resonated with the audience. The once muted voices of veterans took flight, echoing through the hall. For the first time, he found himself not just advocating but embodying the very essence of their shared experiences. Tears glistened in the eyes of many as he concluded. The applause was thunderous. It was clear that the emotional impact had shattered the barriers of indifference. This was the culmination of everything he had fought for, the moment he had stepped beyond fear and embraced the power of truth. As he exited the stage, feeling a rush of exhilaration, he was met by Jane's proud embrace. The weight of self-doubt that had once crippled him transformed into an overwhelming sense of fulfillment. "You were incredible," she whispered, beaming. "I was just a vessel, Jane," he replied, looking into her eyes. "Today, we became part of something much larger. We demonstrated that stories can't just hold weight, they can compel action." As they left the building that day, Tom Bradshaw felt pure contentment settle within him, the echoes of camaraderie reverberating in his soul. This journey had not only steered him toward his purpose, it had rekindled his spirit. The newfound legacy was now established not just in policies, but in the hearts of those who had shared their stories. "Tom," Jane said, her voice breaking through his reverie, "what will be your next step?" "I will continue to build on this momentum," he asserted, motivation igniting anew within him. "Not just for me, but for every veteran who believes their struggle is meaningless. I aim to show them the strength found in collective narratives. This journey has just begun." And it was with that decisive thought, burning with clarity, that Tom resolved to forge ahead until every story, like a roaring flame, became a beacon of truth. Join us for more journeys of transformation and human resilience. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and theories about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now, and this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share.